Arabian Mohammedan scholars especially keep on reminding us of the glorious and unrivaled achievements of Mohammedan Muslims. How accurate are their claims compared with those of the so-called unbelievers?
As we have amply and repeatedly demonstrated, that most of the claims of the followers of Muhammad regarding their lineage, their ancestry, their beliefs, their traditions, their conquests, and their achievements in general are based entirely on myths and lies that they concocted in the first place by rewriting history as most victors do, and then actually believe them to be true. As Hitler demonstrably proved that a lie, the bigger it is and the more it is repeated, becomes a truth. He, like his mentor Muhammad before him, knew exactly what to do with lies. I shall now make a resume of some of the revelations that we made in numerous earlier chapters of ours regarding the following facts. Muhammad in his Quran asserts, as we all know anyway, that the Arabs were mostly illiterate and had no knowledge of previous revelations. Most of the Arabs of the Hijaz especially, where Muhammad grew up, were nomadic or semi-nomadic, unlearned and simple people. We also know that no civilization can be produced by nomads, and there was none where Muhammad was born. The Muhammadan Arabs were hordes who conquered many of the greatest civilizations of the time. The Sassanid Persian Zoroastrians, the Byzantine Christians, the Coptic Christian Egyptians, the Hindu Indians, etc. For the first 100 years, the Umayyad Arabs were more interested in the acquisition of plunder through the conquest of peoples, slaughter, subjugation, booty, and enslavement. They had absolutely nothing of value to contribute to the colonized peoples on 3 continents, Asia, Africa, and Europe. The architecture of their mosques and the administration of the expanding empire were achieved by the architects, artists, and bureaucrats of the subject nations, whether they converted to Muhammadan Islam or remained Christians, Zoroastrians, Hindus, or of the faith of the Jews. It was the Christians and Jews of the subject peoples of this new empire who translated to Arabic the legacies of the Greeks, Romans, Persians, and others, scientific, literary, and theological. It was upon these ancient and accumulated foundations of knowledge that the next stage of Muhammadan Islam took place under the Abbasids, who replaced the Umayyads everywhere except in Spain. Now that the empire was established and there had been already several decades of translated knowledge, Muhammadan Muslims started building upon the ancient foundations new knowledge. I would like to refresh your memories about the fact that the greatest number of these scientists and literati were from among the conquered civilized peoples and not from pure Arabs. Also remember that these achievements, even in Andalusia, Spain, occurred under Muhammadan Muslim leaders who were more secular and not fundamentalist. That absolutely nothing of value can ever be produced in the abyss of fundamentalist Muhammadan Islam, as the Taliban of Afghanistan and others prove. There is absolutely no doubt that under the Muhammadan Empire, great achievements were made in the sciences and literature, but all these were arrived at when there was tolerance among the subject peoples, whereby Mohammedans, Christians, Jews, and Zoroastrians could work together in relative freedom and bring about these results. I must repeat again and again and again a self-evident fact that nonetheless escapes the attention of most people, whether so-called believers or unbelievers, that the Quran prohibits the Muhammadans from questioning any and all of its rulings, and those of Muhammad's Sunnah, as they are allegedly the words of Allah, that no human agency can or should ever tamper with. Based upon these rules, very few followers of Muhammad dared do otherwise, and most of those who did were butchered, imprisoned, or exiled. Muhammadan Islam cannot allow investigation or inquiry because that would actually reveal the facts and truth about it, thus exposing its mendacities, abnormalities, irregularities, and its contradictions of the biblical originals. Muhammadan Islam can only exist under tyranny, ignorance, brainwashing, and utter stupidity. Although these are harsh words, nonetheless, they represent the facts and reality, as I shall now show. during the 500 years from 1450 to 1950, from among the hundreds of millions of Mohammedans, no one can name 3 Mohammedans who have contributed anything of value to the advancement of humanity in any way, shape, or form. In the last 1400 years of history, from among the tens of millions of Mohammedans in the Arabian Peninsula, no one can name 3 Mohammedans who have contributed anything of value to the advancement of humanity in any way, shape, or form. From 1450 unto the present day, every single scientific, literary, and artistic invention and creation, in hundreds upon hundreds of the disciplines of knowledge, were and are being produced only by so-called unbelievers, Christians, Hindus, Chinese, Jews, and others. That the modern followers of Muhammad wear clothing, ride vehicles of transportation such as aeroplanes, ships, bicycles, and motorcycles, drink clean water, have electricity, have medicine and medical instruments, read books, wear shoes, even the making of needles, are entirely the product of the 80% of humanity whom they, with undeserved arrogance, derogatively and insolently call kuffar or unbelievers. That all of their 1.4 billion Mohammedans in about 55 illiberal states do not produce even 1 per 10,000 of the scientific papers that a democracy such as Israel does of 6 million people. That of the hundreds of millions of the followers of Muhammad, representing 20% of humanity, only 3 received the Nobel Prize for scientific achievements, while the denigrated Jews, the alleged descendants of apes, representing 20% of all Nobel Prize winners, although they are only 0.2% of the world population. I had to mention these statistics to show that the only logical and intelligent conclusions regarding such extreme anomalies in human achievements must reside in the fact that the followers of Muhammad as human beings are not born stupid and or ignorant, but that it is their cult belief system that indoctrinates them into being ignorant and unlearned. I sincerely hope that some of the followers of Muhammad who listen to these revelations and statistics will have second thoughts and start investigating, learning, comparing and contrasting the scriptures and literature of the so-called unbelievers, and may then change their mind about their cult belief system.